I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Con. Today I'm reviewing Caper Europe from Keymaster Games. Caper Europe is a two-player lane battling game where across 6 rounds of play, players will alternate drafting thieves and gear in order to win as many points as possible. I specifically don't say in order to win the lanes because winning the lanes is just one of many ways you can try to win this game. Let's just go ahead and walk you through this so you get a sense of what the rounds are like. You're going to start by drafting 4 cards in round 1, 4 thieves to each player. Each player is going to have their cards, look at them. I'll try to simulate some decision space as we go just so you can have a general idea of how we're playing. I'm going to look at the cards over here and try to see what I think works best for me. Now keep in mind we have some lanes in play over here. This lane is going to be worth 5 points if I can get this token closer to my side, and is worth an additional point or 2 points if I get all the way to the end. But additionally, I'll get 1 point for each matching stolen good that I can get. And so if I'm trying to win this location, I'll also be trying to go ahead and get these various stolen goods as much as possible. Keeping in mind the stolen goods have their own little set collection journey, where if you go ahead and collect sets of different stolen goods, you'll get points for those as well. So that's what this location is going to do. This location over here simply means you can't burn your opponent's yellow cards. This doesn't mean that much to you yet, but just know that there are ways you can remove cards from each player, but at this location your yellow cards are safe. And at this location, speaking of yellow cards, you get an extra point for each yellow card that you have here if you win this location over here. So you're trying to be mindful of the different things you're trying to do in order to score points, from the various points on the cards themselves to the various modifiers there are, but there's a whole lot more ways to score points. So right now I'm going to take a look at these cards. These starting cards I have. The Barber will give me 1 coin, which coins are going to be necessary to play gear, but it's also going to move the Spy, this little Spy token, closer to me wherever I play it. This one will go ahead and give me no coins, but it'll move a Spy 1 closer to me, and it'll go ahead and give me 1 stolen good at that location. And the Auctioneer will give me any stolen good and a coin, and the Illusionist is going to give me a movement towards me, a coin, and every red card I play here will also give me a movement towards me. I don't fully know what I want to play, but I'm going to go ahead and go with that red one over there because red cards can be fun to play, and I'm going to try to go ahead and starve out their economy. So I'm going to go over here, playing one of my crew, one of my spies, to this location, and then pass this to the other player. Now, the other player is also going to go ahead and choose a card, and I'll just go ahead and have, ooh, this one over here is pretty nice over here. 3 full movement towards you. Let's go ahead and have them try to take the 7-point card with a full 3 movement towards you. This one moves 1 towards me. That's basically a card play. They pass me theirs, they take theirs, and now they're going to go ahead and play. So they're going to go ahead and try to figure out which one of these they want to play now. They're going to take a look, and maybe they go ahead, they can lean into that, but they also might want money. But if they're going here, maybe they want to go ahead and deny some goods. Getting some set collection can be helpful. Or alternatively, let's just go ahead and fight me. So they're going to go ahead and move this towards them, 1, 2, and then they're going to go ahead and take a coin. Now, coins are a limited resource. There are only 10 in the game. And whenever you're taking coins, you take from the supply, but if you need to take and the supply is empty, you take from your opponent if they have more than you. Basically, hoarding coins, not a safe strategy. You'll have your opponent taking those hard-earned coins from you. Back to this play over here. We're trying to choose what we want. And let's see, let's start going for some points over here. If we place this card over here, we're going to be rewarded for having a yellow card, as well as having, ooh, yellow cards could be good here. Yellow cards could be good. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's play this card over here. We'll get a coin, so we should actually have 2 coins, 1 for each of these so far. And we're going to go ahead and whenever we place a yellow card and another card at this location in our crew, we're going to get 2 points at the end of the game. We're going to go ahead and pass back and forth. And again, we're going to go ahead and gather one of these. You're always going to discard your last card. So while you get 4, you're going to be discarding 1 of those at the end of it. And I'm going to go ahead. I still want more money. I'm not going to worry too much about this, but maybe, given where we are right now, maybe I'll go over here and start trying to claim this already. We don't know if this is going to be necessary or not, but if they get it, we're denying them, and if we get it, we're giving ourselves points. So we got our little stolen good over there, and this card gets discarded, and then we'll have the other player going ahead and trying to figure out what they want. Maybe they'll also go for some point scoring, because point scoring can be very, very hard, very, very good. You don't want to ignore that. Then again, 3 money. 3 money gives us some flexibility in the next round. Speaking of which, I should have a money for this card over here. Let's go ahead and play the 3 money. We'll go ahead and evenly distribute ourselves to different locations. Move this 1 closer towards me, and then taking 3 money. That's going to be round 1. We're going to take our Spy, move it down, and we're going to enter round 2, which is going to be a gear round. Now, it's worth noting right about now that the way you're going to be playing these spies over here, or these thieves, you're going to be playing them 3 in the first round, 2 in the 3rd round, and then 1 in the 5th round as you alternate rounds. This can be tracked over here. We are drawing 4 cards, then 3, then 2, and over here you're drawing 6, then 6, then 6. So you're going to be alternating those rounds as far as how you go ahead and the number of gears is always going to be 6, still discarding 1, versus the number of spies or thieves is going to be reduced each round. But now we're going to a gear round over here. So we're going to take this card over here. We're going to play these and see what we got. We got these cards over here, and we'll take these and see what we have. Let's go ahead and give them some cards as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it actually shows you on the player board who's going first right now based on that. So we'll have this other player is going to play first this time round, choosing a card, and they could take a whole bunch of money. Money could be really helpful right now. In fact, that 4 money may be very tempting. Let's go ahead, but we don't want to hand them yellow cards. We want to deny them yellow cards. So great, we'll take the 4 money. We'll place this down over here. We're going to pay 1 money. So we're going to pay a money right now to the supply, and then we're going to take 4 money. We pay a money because of that dollar sign there, and we're paying 4 money, and this is going to go onto your crew. Each crew member can hold, and keep in mind they took the last 4 money from the supply, which puts a bit of a target on their backs depending on what this other player plays. Although there are a lot of yellow cards, so we'll see if there are. But there are indeed yellow cards over here. So this is a good time right now to play a yellow card, because if I play a yellow card, I'm taking away one of their money, which means I'm actually working really against them over there. So I think I'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to play this down at this location, which will be worth a point if we get that. It's also worth a point towards this. Even if it's on them, it doesn't really matter who it goes on. It just matters if they're on that spot. And I'm going to go ahead and take a money from them because they have more money than me, and I'll also go ahead and get a point as well. So you're going to be tracking all those. We're going to go pass this to the other player over here, and then go back to continuing that cycle. So now they're going to go ahead and take a look, see what they're playing. They can go ahead and deny cards over here. So for right now, this one, for example, can take an Egyptian token from one of the spots, which could be helpful. This one can take anything, but it's a little bit more expensive. This purple card won't help us in particular at any spot. Let's go ahead and take this one over here. We'll play this down over here, and we'll use that. We'll pay $1, and we'll go ahead and have them take this token added to the supplies. Now you're going to be going back and forth doing this. I'm not going to fully play the whole thing out. I just want to give you a cycle, an idea of how it plays out. But what you're going to be doing is you're going to be alternating rounds playing spies, and then alternating rounds playing gear on those spies. You're going to have a total of 6 spies across the course of the game, 3, then 2, then 1 in the last round over there, in round 5 more specifically. And the gear, you're going to have 6 in each round, playing up to 3 on each spy in the game, but you have to be limited to wherever your spies are, which means if you place 3 spies here and only 1 spy here, you'll only have 3 gear here max as you play through the game. Now you're trying to balance the actual abilities on the gear, because the gear is going to have a lot of options on them. There's going to be red cards that deny yourself opponents, there's going to be green cards that often steal goods, purple tends to be a bit more generic movement forward, and yellow is going to be a lot of coins helping your economy because you need coins to be able to buy more cards, although you could always discard a card for a coin as well. You're going to rinse and repeat that across 6 rounds, score everything up, and then see who has the most points in Caper Europe. I should add one more thing before we dive into our review, which is there's also going to be a set of cities you can add to the game. This box over here has 4 different cities you can go ahead and add to the game, each giving you even more locations and more agents that you add to the box when you're playing through with those cities, as well as giving you different cards that get added to the gear that are going to be, again, to some degree of something else going on. So for example, Paris will have you trying to score as many blue cards as possible. That actually can have a very strong cascading effect as you go through it, but you're just getting more variety to the experience by adding those cities into your game, because they're not just generic cities like these over here. When we have over here, we have the bank or the casino, we have generic locations. Adding the city locations adds a new flavor and mixes up your spy deck and your gear deck as well. And with that, let's go ahead and dive into the review, starting off with ease of play. Rulebook is very straightforward. This is a good example of another strong Keymaster rulebook, giving you clear examples, giving you clear rules, clear examples, a very easy game to learn and teach. As far as game time generally runs around 20 to 30 minutes per game. You can go through this pretty quickly. I think the box says 25 to 35 minutes, so I guess I'm going a drop faster than the box over there. As far as what I like, don't like, and can see others not liking, starting off with what I like, which is in general, this is a drafting game. I love drafting games always because of the tension of not just what I choose, but what I'm passing to my opponent. In fact, when this player over here took those 4 coins, he should have known he was passing a handful of yellow cards to his opponent, and he would deny him those points. Fortunately, I'm just playing this through loosely, trying to give you an idea of how it plays, and not focus on the strategy. But there is a lot of strategy in choosing what is good for you, but also what you're directly handing to your opponent. The only perfect information you have, the only hidden information you have, is at the start of the round with your very first pick. After that, you're giving your opponent options to go ahead and take things that you passed them. You gave them that hand of cards. You could have denied them that thing, and you didn't. You're making a choice based on what is good for you, but also what is good for your opponent. And like many drafting games, this is an incredibly tight drafting experience. I find drafting is a mechanic that if there's no tension around what you're picking, the entire mechanic falls flat on its face. But if there is tension, the mechanic works well, and I do find there's that tension in Caper Europe. In general, the spies and gear give you a lot of powers and abilities as far as what you're trying to figure out in the game. Like, you are playing these spies, but you are playing them to try to get money and try to get abilities, and you're playing them both for the immediate strong effects of moving through your direction and locking in, well, not locking in because it can be moved back, but alternatively, maybe you want to go ahead and score a bunch of points, or get a bunch of point scoring cards in one location. If you team up a bunch of these agents together in the same location and pop this one down here, then every set of yellow and green are effectively going to be worth 4 points points to you. That's a giant chunk of points. If you can team these up in the same location, you can get a lot of points out of these cards, and so you are trying to optimize around every single thing in the game, from the point scoring on the lanes, from the abilities on the locations you're claiming, from the abilities on the spies, from the abilities on the gear. Everything is something that you're trying to make a decision around as far as how it fits around in your engine, but also how it will fit into your opponent's engine, and what's the most important thing to fight for there. You're constantly fighting for the center of these lanes over here versus other ways of getting points, and that challenge, the fact that there's a lane battling game where you can, by the way, you can play this game and win none of the lanes and still win the game, but you have to go ahead and fight in other areas. Again, if you see your opponent going for point scoring cards, you want to deny them that as well. If I see that you need yellow cards, me drafting yellow cards to deny you, even drafting them just to discard them, those will often give me ways to go ahead and edge that victory away from you, just by being mindful not just what I'm trying to do strategically, but what you're trying to do strategically and how I can get in the way. And then the variety of the locations you have in the game, just from the basic locations, but then also from the cities that get added, that gives you a lot of ways to mix up the experience, giving you even further replayability, but not just replayability, but additional flavors. Those cities over there will give you additional flavors to what you're trying to do. So if you get used to the game, if you feel like you've got a good handle on it, you can immediately dive into one of those cities, and it shifts up what you're trying to draft, because, ooh, look at those blue cards. I want to try to get 4 of those point-scoring blue cards that all cascade off each other. That's going to be 16 points, which is a giant chunk of points. I want those points in my engine. But of course, you're making the trade-off of the fact that your opponent just drafted a red card and just burnt one of your cards instead. So there's always going to be a trade-off as far as what you're doing between the city location, the gear, between the cities, the gear, the spies, all those things. Just add variety to the experience. As far as what I don't like in the game, the decreasing options as the game progresses is a little weird for me overall. Not bad, but the fact that you have a reducing amount of spies as the game goes on means effectively I find that most of your strategy, most of your decisions tend to happen in the first round of the game. You kind of lock yourself into kind of pathways you're going because 3 of your 6 spies are in that first round of play. After that, you're still making a lot of decisions, make no mistake, but I almost wish there wasn't that slow de-escalation of how things play out in terms of, again, the gear is consistent. You always have the 5 gear coming each round, or 6 gear but drafting 5, but those agents decreasing each round, I don't like that because I want to do more as games progress, not less as this game has you doing. I'll say that because of that, you're kind of railroaded into a path halfway through the game. So again, that aspect where you kind of lock in where your spies are going early on, it pushes you in a direction that you're going to have to continue with. You can pivot out of it a little bit, but if you place 2 spies in one location, then at that point, your options are already, like, you can either place 1 in each one, have a little bit of flexibility, or you can place 2 and you're already kind of being railroaded into a path at the very beginning in the first round of the game. As far as I can see others not liking, this game can be an absolute cash-tight game. If you're not careful with your spies and your gear and what you're choosing, you can find yourself frequently running out of money and having to discard cards for money, or having to just get yellow cards for money, which may not fit into your strategy. You do have to be mindful of the fact that you're going to be constantly drained on money, and you're only working with 10 money in the entire game, and if you get too much, your opponent will be stealing it from you. Speaking of which, the other thing to be mindful of is this is a denial game with take that elements. Like, there's a lot of first of all, there's denial. There's me just drafting things to take them away from you, but there's also red cards, which in this gear pile over here, there's going to be red cards that go ahead and burn your cards. If I play this over here, I'll burn your card at this location, and you will have to go ahead and return that money. When you burn a card, the effects of that card are undone, so don't think of it as like, oh, I already got the money. No, you'll have to pay back for money, or at least as much as you can. Whenever a card of yours is burnt, you have to undo those effects. So there's definite both take that in terms of some cards, but then also just denial in terms of the drafting in general. As far as final thoughts on Caper Europe, I really enjoyed this one. This is a solid lane battler that, to me, one of the most compelling aspects of it is the fact that you don't have to actually engage in the lane battler to win. Now, you can't ignore it. It's one of many things you have to pay attention to. If you let your opponent snowball you, that's going to cost you. But you have to put up the fight. You have to make sure to keep them on their toes, but you don't even have to win these battles in order to win the game, and I like that shift from a traditional lane battler. I also like the alteration of the gears and spies, or the gears and spies, the gears and thieves. I like that alteration of having different cards, different rounds, as you're constantly drafting. And so we have a good combination of a variety of the game state, variety of your pathways to victory, drafting, which is a mechanic I like, city variety, which will keep you on your toes, and the shifting up of gears and thieves over there, which is going to constantly keep you on your toes in a strong variation of your typical lane battler experience. To me, this is a very strong lane battler, a 4 out of 5. I really enjoy Caper Europe. As far as other game recommendations, first of all, if you like lane battlers, one of my favorites is going to be Air, Land, and Sea, particularly the Critters at War version. Definitely check that out if you want another 3-lane lane battler where there's another twist in play. There you do need to win the lanes, but there's a very different twist on the gameplay that will also make it different than your standard lane battler. And then similarly, check out the recent Compile. Compile from Greater Than Games is going to be another lane battler where you mix together 3 different attributes and whatnot, and that creates your card pool, and then you play towards those lanes as you go through it. Strong variety to that experience as well. In any case, then until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.